Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Executive Insights by Shipping and Freight Resource. As we all know, the world of trade and shipping has taken flight in terms of digitalization. And today we have the privilege of talking to Liji Nowal, the founder and CEO of ODeX. ODeX is India's first online platform for shipping documentation, and it's in fact the name stands for Online Document Exchange. But we will hear further from Liji on this. Good day, Liji, and welcome to Executive Insights.
Thank you, Harish. The privilege is all mine. I think you are the biggest influencer in our industry, and it's an honor to appear on your channel. In fact, I would say that at least a little bit of my insights have come in from following you on LinkedIn, and a lot of the industry insights that I have today have come in from the articles that you have published. To give you a quick introduction of ODeX and what we have done. So, like Harish mentioned, I am the founder of ODeX. And to be very honest, it is not something that we set out to do. We kind of stumbled into founding a company, as happens with a lot of entrepreneurs. What we do is something very much that was needed when we started out, and something that I was surprised that nobody had done before us. What we do is very simple. We built a community platform for this industry where all stakeholders would come and exchange their documents, get statuses about their shipments on time, speak to each other, and in fact, collaborate on solutions. So as we have grown, we have seen a lot of collaborative solutions that have come up because stakeholders are on a single community platform. The good thing about starting in India is that it gives you flavors of all kinds of craziness that can happen regarding documentation, payments, releases, and it's kind of helped us scale today. So though we started in India, today we are in 10 countries across the globe. As we speak, we are in the middle of a rollout in the largest market in the world, which is the US. And I hope by next year, we should be in 4 continents. Thanks, Harish, for having me today.
It's very impressive indeed, Liji, and glad to hear that you've started at the epicenter of the world's 5th largest economy and growing well. As you mentioned about collaboration, what kind of problems does ODeX solve, and especially how does it benefit small to medium enterprises? Because I believe that is your key target for the moment.
If I can say a story for a minute, I think kind of brings things in perspective. When we started ODeX, like I said, we stumbled into it. What we saw in the logistics industry was a little bit strange for us because none of the founders were from logistics. What we found was that there was a lot of paper that was moving about. B, there were a lot of people who were traveling to and fro from multiple offices, ports, to each other's places just to hand over these documents. And that's when I really started questioning that, is this essential? And especially this pressure is not felt by the large organizations because most of the carriers or terminals or even banks are just a phone call away for them. But for the small and medium enterprise, the cost of logistics is extremely high if you compare it to a large organization. And this cost is usually because there is a lot of manual documentation processes that are in place. There's a lot of travel that happens because you go from one office to the other. And there are payment challenges that come in. So when we started ODeX, our focus was on 3 things. 1, how can we ensure that documents can be exchanged seamlessly and digitally amongst all stakeholders? And when we say all stakeholders, our focus was small and medium enterprises because these were the ones who really were not able to reach large organizations easily. The second one was, how do we solve for the problem of business-to-business payments and ensure that payment confirmations are available well in time? And I'm sure a lot of us in logistics know how critical the timing of a payment can be between having the container move out during free days to having detention applied on a container. And this is exactly what we set out to solve. And the last one was, how do we actually build collaboration amongst the stakeholders? And when we say stakeholders, it is freight forwarders, custom brokers, shipping lines, terminals, banks, cargo owners, all of them. And the collaboration piece actually just came up when we were discussing on digital documents. They said, hey, the documentation piece is fine, but can we communicate with each other? And that's where today, if you look at ODeX, there are different dashboards that each party has, each stakeholder has, and all communication happens on ODeX. And in fact, one of the things that we are very proud is that in the city of Mumbai, when rains can disrupt life, ODeX is the first place where the industry flashes that, hey, we're probably open only till 2 o'clock. If you need to do something, get this done. So it kind of gives you an idea about how people have adopted the platform, and they have kept us on our toes and forced us to innovate.
That is a great story indeed. And do you think these trade digitalization initiatives that are currently ongoing and some of those that are in place will come to fruition and full adoption by the industry? Because that is one of the key issues that is facing the digitalization aspect of the industry, the adoption part of it. How are you seeing it from an ODeX perspective?
Two things that I see. The logistics industry was late to the party, but we have caught up very, very fast. So I don't see that there would be a challenge of adoption as we grow. The challenge is not of adoption, I feel, Harish. I think it is about understanding what the customer really wants and keeping it simple. And to a large extent, sometimes people like me are to blame, because we like to think technology first, whereas we should put user first. And it takes me even today a lot of hard work to mentally train myself to put the user first, because it's very easy to get excited on technology. And one of our stories is the one where we really failed on blockchain. We thought it was a good idea. We went ahead and implemented a KYC program on blockchain. And then we realized nobody in India really wanted to adopt it, because the cost of a pure blockchain solution, which meant that everybody needed to have nodes and everybody needed to keep validating, it was just too much, and the time involved was too much. And that's where we learned our lesson, that if you put your user first, then technology adoption is easy. But if you put technology first, adoption might be an issue. I think so. It's sometimes a good lesson for all technology enthusiasts to learn. User first, adoption will follow. And ODeX today stands a testament to that, because when we launched in Nigeria about 2 months back, we were at 0. Today, for the stakeholder that we're running it, the adoption is 95%. So, and it's 60 days. We managed to do it because users see value in it.
Very wise words indeed. Very wise words for the industry, and well done on Nigeria. I mean, that's the largest economy in Africa, and it's ever growing, and it's a very complicated market, as many people would know. So yes, very wise words indeed. Now, especially with ODeX, I mean, for any startup, and especially in logistics, there's been big numbers floated about and stuff. But what sort of investments and developments have been made by ODeX to build and enhance your platform, and what is your current reach within the shipping ecosystem?
So we bootstrapped till about 2 years back, and it was a tough journey. So personal wealth from all founders and a few friends and family. I think we put in close to about $4 to $5 million. That's over the last 7 to 8 years that we have invested in the platform. And now that we have a strategic partner on board, the journey is a little more easier. But what we see is that this is a continued investment journey. And what we achieved with the $5 million investment is to be able to build a platform that today caters to about 60 to 70% of India's export gate pass solutions, and about another 60% of India's import invoicing, DO release, payment reconciliation solutions. But what we're looking at now is globally scaling quickly, because what we realized is that India is not isolated. And what we've done in India actually works in in many markets across the world. We always thought we were an emerging market platform. And again, the markets have a good way of teaching you, where when we went to the US, we found that not really. Here, the problems are stated differently, but the solutions can be tweaked easily to fit those problems. So today, what we're looking at investing is in terms of horizontally scaling the platform, reaching as many users as possible. So from where we started in 2015 to now, we have close to 120,000 users on board, representing about 70,000 organizations across 10 countries. And on an average, we have about 100,000 plus documents being transacted currently in India on our platform, and similar numbers in the rest of the countries that we are live. From a volume perspective, this sounds very large, but honestly, we haven't even scratched the surface of global trade. So we still have a long way to go. Numbers looks exciting. What I'm aiming to do in the next 3 years is to at least make this 5 times of what we are right now.
Very ambitious plans, but I'm confident that you will get there. From what I've heard from you and what I've seen, and the product demo also that we did about ODeX, I've seen that it seems quite simple for people to understand and to use. Is that something that was designed from the beginning with that in mind, or did you learn it along the process as you mentioned earlier? It seems a little bit quite simple for people to use, and that should be a big plus point for you.
Was that in my mind? Yes. Did we really achieve it when we started out? The answer is no. Like I said, when you're in love with technology, you tend to build something sometimes that is not easy to adopt. I think our users taught us a lot, and that really is the success of ODeX. That the only thing that makes us stand apart and makes us keep it simple is that we are forever asking our users for feedback, and because we have so many SMEs and MSMEs on our platform, they really don't shy away from giving you feedback. And one of the things that we learned is Google reviews, and that's keep your ear to the ground, read your Google reviews, ensure that your support staff is always on their toes, and personally take support calls. So each of us, the founders, even today, me and Binay, we take up support calls. The head of sales, the head of commercial, all of us. In fact, our finance head in India, she sits in on support calls. It's very simple. You think something fancy, and you go to the user, and he's going to break your bubble. So it keeps us grounded. That's the only reason we are simple, because of our users, and all thanks to them. And in fact, we have quite a few YouTube stars who have ensured that our product videos have been translated into vernacular. We didn't set out to do it, but we are very, very, very thankful to our community. So we have a couple of YouTube influencers who actually put out how to use ODeX in Hindi, and we found that was a big success. We didn't touch that, but we learned from them.
That's a very endearing story, and I love that. Actually, you should maybe make that your tagline: users first, technology next. But
yes, thank you.
What is is there some advice that you have for your users, or for up and coming digital people that wish to enter this space or enhance this space on how things should move forward, or even for the established people, because even the established players are finding it a bit difficult in terms of adoption. But do you have any guidelines or any tips for them?
I think you spoke about 3 segments. Is there something that I want to tell the users of ODeX? I would say, for me, to the users of ODeX, there's only one thing to say: thank you so much, and keep sending us those hearts as well as those brickbats. We learn from the brickbats, but we are motivated by the hearts that keep coming our way. To new technologists who are entering this space, I think you could learn from experiences of platforms like ODeX. I started out not really young, but not really old when I came to this industry. I can say that I have aged. suddenly. But it was something that was not needed. I think the simplest thing to do was to focus on what you set out to build and keep testing with users, especially the SME users, because their challenges are very different from what we read in the newspapers on a daily basis. So sometimes it is just good to go sit with them and test your solutions before launching them. And that is what will get you to profitability. Any kind of investment will not let you reach there until you have adoption. And the only way to reach adoption is go to the users. Um, to to large companies who are struggling with adoption, I think there's only one thing to say. Technology is always an investment. If we start looking at it as an expense, it will always give you heartburn. But if you say that, here is why, if you set out with clear goals, to say that here is what we have today, here is what we plan to achieve tomorrow, and see that this is an investment you have to make, then things becomes much more easier. Then you tend to use the right partner rather than the cheapest partner. And sometimes I think I've learned it the hard way. Not necessarily use the cheap ones, but use the right ones. And that's, I think, something that's there for all organizations out there who are trying to bring technology and digital solutions to logistics.
Thanks very much, Liji. Again, wise words indeed, and wish you all the very best in your endeavors and for the enhancement of your platform, and also to expand into new territories. I know USA can be a tough one, but wish you all the very best, and hope to hear from you soon. And let's be in touch.
Thank you, Harish. Thank you. Have a nice day. Thanks.
You too. Thank you.